Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video today. We'll have a bit of a chat about what's been going on in Spain over the last week or so while I take my dog Mia for a walk this lovely Saturday morning. So let's go. Now I'll get the weather out of the way first. As you can see, a beautiful day today. A couple of clouds in the sky, not many, and temperature getting up today into the mid-30s, around 33, 34 degrees Celsius, I think. So summer has definitely arrived. Although not officially, of course. I think the 21st of June is when summer officially kicks in, but definitely summer-like weather currently. And I'm happy. It's been a little bit cold, a little bit wet, a little bit damp in recent times. Don't get me wrong, we need the rain, but I like to feel the sun or the warmth of the sun on my skin at this time of year, and finally it seems to have happened. So, onto the news and what has been happening in Spain over the last week or so. Well, it's all about politics, unfortunately. People that like politics, fantastic, but people like me that sometimes like politics, sometimes no, it's getting a bit hard to swallow all of the politics that's going on in this country at the moment, especially when it comes to political groups trying to find agreement to govern in some of the autonomous communities and town halls around the country. As we know, recent elections here in Spain at a municipal and autonomous community level changed the political landscape of the country. Before last month, or a little over a month ago, it was a very red country. The Socialists, or the Socialist Party here in Spain, controlled a lot of the town halls and autonomous communities. But with the last elections, that all changed and the country is now blue. The country, as I said, has swung to the right. Now, 10 years ago here in Spain, a swing to the right would have been a very simple affair because there was only one party, one political party here in Spain that occupied the right side of politics. It was the Partido Popular. They still exist, but now they have competition on the right, and the competition comes in the form of the hard right party Vox, V-O-X, Vox, and that is what's causing some problems around the country to form government. The hard right and the more centre right, which is where I think the PP would like to sit on today's political scale. Now, you would think that it would be easy for these two political parties to come to an agreement on some things, considering that Vox really is an extension of the Partido Popular. Lots of the Vox politicians were part of the Partido Popular 10 years ago until they split. They decided that the Partido Popular was too bland for them, too weak, so they decided to split and go hard right, and some of the policies that they are putting forward are quite extreme in my opinion, especially when it comes to things like domestic violence. They have a completely different point of view, and as I said, the PP, or the Partido Popular, considers itself more of a centre right party nowadays. They're trying to get that centre vote. That's where they think the vote is in Spain, and not easy to come to an agreement to form government in some of the autonomous communities around the country. In fact, only one autonomous community so far, the Valencian community, has an agreement been reached, and I'll talk about that in a minute's time. So as I said, you'd think it would be easy for these two political parties to come to an agreement considering their history, but that is not the case. Vox, as I mentioned, is taking a hard line on some important issues, and its leader, Santiago Abascal, who I said before belonged to the Partido Popular, is standing firm and making it difficult for the PP to govern in these autonomous communities. Now, as I said 30 seconds or so ago, in only one autonomous community so far has an agreement been reached, in the Valencian autonomous community. And the Valencian autonomous community here in Spain, one of the most important areas in the country, probably the third most important area as far as the economy goes and as far as other things like that go, behind Madrid Catalonia. Then you have the Valencian community, I would say, and it is a very sought after political prize, and the PP wanted to win that autonomous community back. They were in power there for many years back in the day, but unfortunately corruption got in the way, and the Valencian community 10 or 12 years ago was the most corrupt autonomous community in this country. Madrid was pretty corrupt, Catalonia was pretty corrupt, Andalusia was pretty corrupt, but the Valencian community, I think, took the cake. You could argue that between Andalusia and Valencia, but Valencia right up there with the famous Caso Gürtel, which saw various politicians go to prison for theft and other criminal charges. So the Valencian community in the spotlight back then. And Valencia again in the spotlight because of all of the political dealings that are going on down there. As I said, the agreement reached between the Partido Popular and Vox, controversial. Vox, of course, getting into government. I think they're going to have the vice presidency there, plus various ministries, if you like, in that Valencian government. One that stood out the other day was the culture ministry, and an ex-bullfighter who is going to take over that culture ministry. So we know in which direction culture is going to go in the Valencian community, probably down the bullfighting or the pro-bull path. So some interesting times ahead as far as the Valencian community is concerned and as far as politics is concerned here in Spain, because remember, we've got elections coming up on the 23rd of July, and I'll talk about that now. So the 23rd of July, as we know, the date that elections have been called in this country, an unpopular move by Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez. Lots of people still unhappy about the fact that they're going to have to vote on the 23rd of July because a lot of people are going to be on holidays, or they were planning to take holidays around that time, and it's also a long weekend bang smack in the middle of summer, and lots of people normally go away for long weekends here, especially here in Madrid. A lot of people are thinking that that's the plan of Pedro Sánchez. He wanted to call the elections on a difficult date for the middle classes here, so that perhaps they won't vote, they won't turn out to vote, and only the loyal socialist or left-wing supporters of politics in this country will turn out to vote. Don't know if that's the case or not. I think a lot of people are planning to vote this year because they think it's a very important set of elections. And I, for one, am looking forward to seeing what the turnout is going to be for these elections. Will Spaniards turn out to vote in person? Will they hand in a postal vote, or will they not vote at all because their holidays are more important? Don't know. Time will tell. But in any case, one thing that is fairly clear at this stage is that neither of the big two political parties is going to have enough votes to be able to govern alone. They're going to have to go into an agreement with either the hard right, being the PP and the hard right, or the PSOE with the hard left. So that's what it's going to be, either hard right or hard left. Now we'll change the topic, move away from politics, and an interesting story caught my attention the other day about 3 German tourists, I think they were German, who were walking around Mallorca semi-naked. They had their thongs on, the G-bangers as we say in Australia, walking around the streets of Mallorca, I think it was, doing some shopping, oblivious to what was going on around them. Somebody took a photo, posted it on Instagram, and complained about the dress code of these 3 German tourists. And of course, a debate started. What is the adequate dress for walking around the streets if you are close to the beach? Are you allowed to walk around in your bikini? Are you allowed to walk around in your bathers without your shirt on if you are a man? That's the question. Some people think that you shouldn't be allowed to walk around without your kit on, that you should put your clothes on to walk around the streets, and maybe they're right. And other people think that you should be able to do whatever you want in a beachside resort. What do you reckon? Now, my opinion on this matter is fairly clear, and basically it is that the further you are away from the beach, the more kit you have to have on. Let me explain. Now, let's say, for example, you're at one of these seaside resorts here in Spain, for example, Benidorm. You've just had a dip in the nice Mediterranean Sea, a nice refreshing dip. You come out of the sea, you're looking for something to eat or drink, and you see that just in front of the beach, on the other side of the road, there are some beach bars, and you want to go and have something to eat or drink in one of those places. You've got your bathing suit on, you've got your bikini on, you've got your G-string on maybe, and you want to have something to eat. I don't have a problem with that. Cross the road, sit down, put a towel down. You don't want to get a wet chair. That would be my only advice on this matter. So you're very close to the beach, even though you are in an establishment, and you can sit down and have something to eat in your bathing costume. I'm okay with that. However, if you start to go back into the town, if you start to go back into Benidorm, the further away from the beach you get, I think you start to need to put some type of clothes on, because the people around you are not dressed like you, so you stand out like a sore thumb. So that would be my advice. If you are at the beach having something to drink very close to the beach, no problem. Do it in your bathing kit, but if you are away from the beach, further away from the beach, put some clothes on. But anyway, as I said before, let us know what you think on this matter in the comment section below. Is it okay to walk the streets of places like Benidorm or Palma de Mallorca half naked or semi-naked, or do you need to put some kit on? And what's the limit, do you think, or what's the distance away from the beach that you can get away with having your bathing suit on still? Let us know. Now, the final thing I'm going to talk about today is something that has made me a little bit sad over the last couple of days, a little bit depressed, and basically it is that I've come to the realization that I'm getting old, and here's why. Now, I've always thought of myself as a fairly young guy, maybe not physically, but at least in my mind, I've always been young at heart, as they say, but yesterday that all changed. And the reason I have come to this conclusion, or to this stark realization that I'm not as young as I used to be, is because of this thing that I have behind me here, a music festival. Yesterday, around 20,000 young people came to this part of Madrid on the outskirts to celebrate this festival called Bombastic, and I had a look at some of the groups that were playing in this music festival, and I didn't recognize one single name. 20 or 30 music groups, I did not recognize any of those groups, and that made me sad. Now, a couple of years ago, I would have looked at who was playing at the festival, and I would have recognized at least 5, maybe 6, maybe 10, maybe 15 of the groups, but nowadays not one. And that, as I said, has led me to the realization that I'm getting old, and I'll be honest, I'm a little bit depressed. But I'm sure my depression or sadness won't last for very long. I mean, that's the reason we have kids, isn't it? That's the reason we have new generations of people coming through, to make people like me start to feel old, out of touch with what's going on. And basically, it's just a generational thing. Somebody asked me the other day, do I think that the current generations are more out of touch with their parents than we were at the same age? And I said, I've got no idea, but all I know is that I'm really out of touch with the music that my son listens to, for example, and all of the stuff on social media that he's into. I just can't follow it at all. And another thing that makes me sad or a little bit depressed is the way young people that are attending this festival treat their environment. For example, when it comes to rubbish. You only have to look around here at all of the rubbish that has been left behind. Nobody bothers to put rubbish in the bins, and that is an absolute shame, in my opinion, considering that this younger generation thinks that they are going to be the saviors of our planet. And if this is anything to go by, that is not the case. Really sad. So an absolute disgrace, in my opinion. But if people haven't learned by the age of 20, 25 to put rubbish in the bin, then what hope do we have? On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. If anything has caught your attention that I've said today, please, the comment section below is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.